Worthwhile in life, the first and most essential step is to determine exactly what it is you wish to attain. Vagueness is the enemy of progress. It dulls effort and disperses energy across too many directions. When your aim is uncertain, your actions will mirror that uncertainty, leading to hesitation, inconsistency, and ultimately failure. On the other hand, when you are definite about what you want, your thoughts, behaviors, and decisions all begin to harmonize around a central objective. Clarity of purpose serves as the mind's compass. It gives you a reference point for every choice you make. When distractions come, and they will, you do not waver, because your mind has already been given a firm directive. You are no longer questioning what matters. You are committed to it. Without this commitment, even the most intelligent mind will fall prey to indecision. It is not intelligence alone that brings results. It is focused effort, driven by a purpose so clear it cuts through confusion like a blade through fog. Imagine a man sailing without a destination. No map, no coordinates, no clear harbor in sight. He may be full of ambition, full of hope, even surrounded by favorable winds. But where will he arrive? Nowhere meaningful. He will drift endlessly. The same principle applies to life. Desire alone is not enough. You must know what you desire and be able to express it with absolute precision. That is the starting point of all achievement. Definiteness of purpose does something remarkable to the human mind. It gives it power. When the brain is presented with a specific objective, it begins to activate resources, both internal and external, that remain dormant when your aim is scattered. Suddenly, your thoughts organize themselves around that aim. Ideas appear, not by chance, but because your mental faculties have been directed with intention. You begin to notice opportunities that were always present but invisible before you knew what to look for. This is not some mystical concept. It is rooted in how the human mind operates. The subconscious, your silent partner in achievement, requires clear instruction. It cannot work with ambiguity. A man who says, "I want to be successful," will struggle far more than the one who says, "I will build a business that generates $100,000 0 cents per year by solving this specific problem." The latter gives the mind a tangible target. It becomes measurable. You now have something to plan for, something to pursue, something to correct course toward if you drift. Clarity breeds urgency. When you define your purpose in detail, the weight of it becomes real. It is no longer a dream floating in the future. It becomes a call to action in the present. You begin to feel the pressure, not of stress, but of responsibility. You have given your life direction, and that direction demands action. People without a definite purpose often wander aimlessly through their days, unsure why they are working, studying, or striving. Those with a defined goal, however, wake up each morning with a sense of mission. They are not waiting for the world to hand them a reason. They have created one for themselves. One of the greatest misconceptions is that clarity comes after action. In truth, it must precede it. Only when you know what you are aiming at can your actions have precision and weight. Otherwise, you are simply reacting to circumstances, drifting at the mercy of life's currents. With a definite goal, you become the captain of your own ship. There is a quiet but powerful moment that occurs when a person writes down their goal in exact terms. It might seem like a simple act, putting words on paper, but it triggers a transformation. The vague becomes concrete, the abstract becomes real. That clarity begins to demand alignment from your daily habits, your focus, and your associations. And it will also begin to eliminate what is unnecessary. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining distractions, not because you're more disciplined than before, but because you now know what matters. And that is the essence of forcing yourself to achieve. Begin with definiteness. Begin with purpose. Define it, write it, say it, believe it, because until you do, every effort remains dilute it. But once you do, your path becomes visible and your will begins to move in many unwavering direction to achievement. Motivation is fleeting, but self-discipline is permanent. While motivation is a state, discipline is a skill. Motivation comes and goes based on emotion, weather, sleep, praise, or mood. But discipline, true cultivated self-discipline, is the ability to act regardless of how you feel. It is the internal command that compels you to do what must be done, even when every part of you wants to retreat or delay, and no encouragement was guaranteed. Discipline is the price of admission to success. You cannot buy it, borrow it, or fake it. It must be earned daily. And it is in the daily choices, the tiny victories over comfort, that you begin to build a powerful internal force. When you choose the gym over the couch, the book over the screen, the extra hour of work over the easy way out, you are reinforcing your identity as someone who follows through. Each of these decisions strengthens a mental muscle, one that will carry you through far greater challenges in the future. Understand this. Self-discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is about liberating yourself from the chains of inaction. It is about taking control of your time, your habits, and your energy so that they serve you rather than control you. Without discipline, you become a slave to your moods and temptations. With it, you become a master of your outcomes. Discipline is freedom in disguise. One of the most misunderstood ideas is that successful people always feel inspired. The truth is quite the opposite. What makes them successful is their ability to work when uninspired, to move forward when tired, and to commit when no external reward is in sight. They force themselves, not because they enjoy every moment, but because they understand the value of consistency. They know that the compound effect of daily effort, even when imperfect, leads to extraordinary results over time. The good news is that self-discipline can be built. It is not reserved for the few. It is available to all who are willing to practice it. Begin with small commitments. Wake up at a set time. Follow through on a promise you made to yourself. Finish the task you started, even if it's inconvenient. These acts may seem small, but they are seeds of something much greater. Each completed action sends a message to your subconscious mind. I can be trusted. I am capable. I follow through. That belief, reinforced repeatedly, becomes your identity. Over time, discipline removes friction from your path. What was once difficult becomes easier. Your resistance fades. Procrastination weakens. You no longer negotiate with yourself when faced with hard decisions. You simply act. And in that ability to act consistently lies your greatest power. You realize that you don't need to feel inspired to create progress. You only need to decide. When you lack discipline, goals become fantasies. But when you possess discipline, even the most ambitious goals become blueprints, systems that you can work toward one block at a time. The dream becomes a plan. The plan becomes a habit, and the habit becomes your way of life. You must become the enforcer of your own future. No one will do it for you. No one will hand you the life you envision. Force yourself, not through self-hatred, but through self-respect. You deserve the rewards of effort, and discipline is the vehicle to claim them. The highest form of self-respect is discipline. It says to the world, I value my future more than I value momentary comfort. And when you live from that mindset, you begin to move differently. You speak with confidence, walk with purpose, and act with urgency. Force yourself to do what is necessary, not once, not occasionally, but as a way of life. For in that force, applied consistently, lies the making of the man or woman you were always meant to become. There is a law in nature that governs all human achievement, and it is this. Anything you do repeatedly, whether helpful or harmful, becomes part of you. Repetition is the architect of habit, and habit is the unseen force that governs your results. It is not what you do once in a while that shapes your destiny. It is what you do over and over again, especially when it requires effort. especially when no one is watching, especially when every part of you wants to quit. Your will is the initial spark. It is the conscious force that chooses, that decides, that says, I will do this. But willpower alone is not enough. It must be exercised consistently, just like a muscle, until it becomes strong enough to carry you forward in moments of resistance. Think of repetition as the training ground for your will. Every time you follow through, even when it's uncomfortable, your willpower grows stronger. Every time you choose action over excuse, you are feeding the fire of discipline that transforms ordinary men and women into exceptional achievers. Repetition is your greatest ally in this process. The first time you perform a difficult task, it feels unnatural. You may hesitate, stumble, even fail. That is expected. But the second time is slightly easier. The third time, more familiar. And by the 10th or 20th time, what once seemed impossible becomes routine. Your mind and body begin to adapt. You no longer have to fight as hard to start. The behavior begins to carry its own momentum. This is how habits are formed, not in sudden bursts, but in steady, repeated action. And once a habit is in place, it becomes a silent engine driving your life forward. You no longer rely on motivation to get up early, to work on your goals, to push through challenges. You do it because it's part of who you are. Repetition, over time, turns struggle into instinct. Many people ask, how do I stay consistent? The answer lies in making your actions small enough to repeat and meaningful enough to matter. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. One paragraph written, 1 hour of study, one focused workout. Each repetition reinforces a message to your mind. This is what we do now, and that message, echoed daily, rewires your internal pattern. The beauty of repetition is that it compounds. Much like money in a savings account, effort that is consistently applied grows exponentially. 1 hour of effort a day is 365 hours a year. That's the equivalent of over 9 full-time work weeks, dedicated purely to your growth, your mastery, your progress. What seems small in the moment becomes monumental in the long term, but only if you persist. Your willpower alone may get you started, but it is repetition that keeps you going. The two are inseparable. Will is the hand that opens the door. Repetition is the path that leads you through it. Each supports the other. The more you repeat, the less will you need. The more often you act in alignment with your goal, the easier it becomes to maintain. You must also understand that your environment and routine matter. Make it easy to repeat the right behaviors. Create structure. Eliminate distractions. Surround yourself with reminders of who you want to become. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy you preserve for what matters most. Simplicity is a secret weapon of the disciplined mind. Greatness is not forged in a single moment of passion. It is forged in repeated efforts, carried out with quiet intensity, day after day. No fanfare, no shortcuts, just the power of will partnered with the discipline of repetition. That is how you change. That is how you grow. The most powerful influence on your behavior is not your circumstances, nor your education, nor even your past. It is the voice you listen to in your own mind. Every thought you dwell on, every statement you repeat to yourself becomes a subtle command to your subconscious. Over time, this inner dialogue shapes your beliefs, your self-perception. This is the essence of autosuggestion. The practice of deliberately feeding your mind with thoughts, words, and mental pictures that support the life you are determined to create. Autosuggestion is not a trick. It is not wishful thinking or daydreaming. It is a disciplined mental exercise, a method of conditioning your subconscious to accept the thoughts you choose rather than the thoughts the world tries to impose on you. Your subconscious mind is always listening. It accepts repeated input without judgment, and it translates that input into emotional responses, attitudes, and behaviors. Whether you plant weeds or flowers in this mental soil, the subconscious will nurture them just the same. The problem is that most people allow their minds to run wild with negative, fearful, or limiting thoughts. I'm not good enough. This won't work. People like me never succeed. These statements, repeated often enough, become personal truths, even though they are false. The tragedy is not that these thoughts exist. The tragedy is that people believe them without challenge. Autosuggestion reverses that pattern. It puts you back in control of the mental narrative. It allows you to override doubt with direction, replace fear with focus, and counter defeat with deliberate declarations of success. When you repeatedly tell yourself, I am capable, I am focused, I act with purpose, or I follow through on my goals, your subconscious mind begins to organize your behavior to match that belief. You begin to feel more confident. You stand taller. You take bolder steps. Why? Because your inner identity has changed, and your actions always follow identity. This is not about blind affirmation. It is about emotional conviction. When you speak to yourself with belief, with clarity, and with repetition, you rewire your mental programming. Words spoken without emotion do little, but words charged with feeling, spoken with intensity, repeated with consistency, begin to mold your mind like water-shaped stone. The practice of autosuggestion should be intentional. Set aside time each day to affirm your goals and the qualities required to achieve them. Say them out loud. Write them down. Visualize them with detail. Speak as if they are already true, not because you are lying to yourself, but because you are giving your subconscious a blueprint to follow. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. Use that truth to your advantage. For example, if your goal is to become a disciplined person, don't just hope it will happen. Create the identity through suggestion. I am a person of discipline. I do what must be done without delay. I feel focused, strong, and consistent. Say it daily. Believe it, and then act on it. The more you repeat these ideas, the more they will feel familiar. And what is familiar becomes comfortable. What is comfortable becomes natural. And what is natural becomes automatic. Mental conditioning through autosuggestion also protects you against outside negativity. In a world filled with doubt, criticism, and distraction, your mind must become a fortress. Autosuggestion is how you build the walls. When you have programmed your own mind with purpose, it becomes far harder for fear or uncertainty to take root. You no longer react blindly to circumstances. You respond according to the principles you have already ingrained. Consistency is key. The mind does not change overnight. Just as muscles take time to grow through repeated training, your inner dialogue takes time to shift through repeated suggestion. But it will shift if you stay persistent. And once it shifts, everything else begins to change with it. Your energy, your decisions, your results. Autosuggestion is the daily act of becoming who you wish to be. Not someday, but today. Not when the world agrees, but even when it doesn't. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You don't need evidence before you commit. Belief precedes proof. The inner world creates the outer. Repeat with conviction. Think with intention. Visualize with clarity. And speak to yourself as one who is already on the path, not because it is a fantasy, but because you are training your mind to walk that path until it becomes real. Control the conversation inside your own head, and you will begin to control the outcome of your life. One of the most critical qualities separating those who merely wish for success from those who ultimately achieve it is persistence. It is not talent, nor luck, nor even intelligence that determines the outcome. It is the ability to continue when the results are delayed, when progress is slow, and when resistance is at its highest. Persistence is not something you show when things are easy. It is what you reveal when things get difficult and uncertain. It is the inner commitment to press forward, regardless of obstacles, distractions, or disappointments. Every person who has ever created something great has done so by passing through seasons of resistance. These seasons are unavoidable. You will be tested, not once, but again and again. There will be setbacks, moments of self-doubt, circumstances beyond your control, and temptations to quit. These moments are not signs that you're on the wrong path. They are proof that you are on a path worth walking. Resistance appears not to stop you, but to strengthen you. It exposes your weaknesses so you can eliminate them. It hardens your resolve so you can endure greater pressure later. It teaches you to act on principle, not emotion. To develop persistence, you must learn to see resistance not as the enemy, but as the refining fire. Understand that the very presence of difficulty is a necessary ingredient in growth. If everything came easily, there would be no transformation, only convenience. But greatness does not thrive in comfort. It grows in adversity, under pressure, and through challenge. The individual who persists is the one who has made a decision so firm that no external condition can shake it. He is not waiting for the storm to pass. He is learning how to walk through the rain. Do not confuse persistence with blind effort. Persistence is not repeating the same failed approach endlessly. It is the disciplined determination to find a way forward, whether through adjustment, learning, or innovation. You must be flexible in strategy, but unshakable in vision. If one method fails, you try another. If one door closes, you look for another opening. The persistent mind does not stop at rejection. It translates no into not yet, and every failure into feedback. It is also important to build emotional endurance. Many people can handle a day or a week of hard work, but few can keep going for months or years without visible reward. This is where mental strength is forged. Results often come later than expected. That gap between effort and reward is where most give up. But those who persist understand a secret. The delay is part of the process. Just because something isn't visible yet does not mean it isn't working. Progress often happens silently, underground, like roots spreading before a tree breaks the surface.